recorded so that your colleagues who can't make it with us today will have an opportunity to look at it later. Um, I am super duper excited to announce who our guest speaker for today is because I am the library services coordinator for the Santa Clara County Office of Education. And today we have a fellow librarian with us. So that is super
Yay!
exciting. Yay. So I'm going to take a moment and share my screen with you. Bum, 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 bum. And here we are. So March the 4th, AI Community of Practice. As you know, these are my colleagues. We are the four of us have been getting this together so that we will have exciting things for you to learn about, think about, and share with your students and educators. And today's topic is AI in education, benefits, challenges, and best practice. And today's guest is Elissa Malespina. I was gonna see if you could guess where she was from based on her accent, but I'll just go ahead and tell you. She is an award-winning school librarian from New Jersey. I don't know if I said
Uh,
that properly. An educational technology
Nobody talks like that.
I know.
New
I'm from
Jersey.
Georgia. I'm from Atlanta. So believe me, I get the Southern accent and I just look at people and roll my eyes. An educational technology consultant and an advocate for the freedom to read. If you have not read it, she writes an amazing newsletter called the AI School Librarians Newsletter, and she provides professional development for educators and is a contributing author to Trouble in Censorville. Oh, got a little bit ahead of myself right there. So without further ado, I'm going to stop sharing and hand things over to Miss Elissa Malespina.
Hi, everybody. It's so nice to see you. My name's Elissa Malespina. I'm going to be presenting today. I am from New Jersey. I don't think I have an accent. I think everybody else has the accent. I mean, the New Jersey accent that you guys are all like familiar really with is not New Jersey. It's like Staten Island in New York, really. So,
You
but
sound you
everybody
sound
thinks
you sound like my friend from New Jersey.
Um, well, I am going to talk to you guys today about AI and how it's sort of the uses of it, how you can use it in your schools, your libraries, all of that. I have put the link in the chat and I'll put it again in the chat for people because I know there were some people who are just coming in. So you can follow along if you want. Um, and come on it. Come on. Okay. There it is. You can follow along with the presentation. So you have it and have all the resources, sort of everything's linked into the presentation. Um, and I think I'm going to share my screen so we can get started. And let me know if I share it right, because I always mess it. So here it is. Let's see. You guys can see it. I'm
Beautiful.
gonna hit present. I am just happy that it is working today because today in school, it was not working for me. So give me 1 second. I'm just gonna move it over to this screen. Um, and then I'm gonna hit present. Yeah, it was not. Canva just decided it wasn't working in school today. And we were like, is it me or is it Canva? So, okay, you can if you want, you could scan here to follow along, but I put the link in also for you, so you don't really need to do that.
You're probably
Um,
you're probably gonna have to reshare your screen because you moved it to a different monitor, I
oh,
think.
Yes, I was going
damn
to
it.
say, Alyssa, it's a beautiful green mountainscape.
Yeah, I moved it, and now I have to share it. See, I told you guys you're gonna have to help me with this. I always mess up the screen share. Now, can you see this really good picture of me?
You look
Yes, looks just like
gorgeous.
you.
Don't
Yes.
I look gorgeous? So, a little about me. I am on Blue Sky. I am no longer on the formerly known as Twitter place. So you can find me on Blue Sky. I am a librarian in New Jersey at Science Park High School. In the background, you hear some barking. That is my dogs. Um, I am also the author of the School Librarians newsletter, and you can get me at my Gmail. If you, as you see, AI is amazing and it always gets things correct because when I put this in Canvas text to image software, this prompt, I mean, this is what happened. Doesn't it look like me? I like showing that to my students to sort of tell them as an example of how sometimes AI doesn't always work well. Actually, this is in a way better than it was prior because I did the same thing a few months ago prior, and it was very much a white person and very white features, everything, like no matter what I did was very much. This time it was more I thought it had improved a little with some of the biases, and made it a little more ethnic in its look, but still not me at all. Um, so what is AI? We know AI has been around forever, and AI has basically always been here. It's really just a computer system that stimulates the human mental processes. Now, why we have heard about it a lot more in the last few months, years, now it's like one or 2 years in, is because it can now generate language and make it into a way that we start to understand it more. Before then, it would be behind the scenes doing things, thinking, but now when you can start to have conversations, when it's generating language in a way where it is really good, that's where we're starting to see those sort of, more and more people get into it. I always like to play this game, and we're gonna play. We're gonna play, guys. I'm gonna let you choose. These are three articles. Now, it is all linked in the chat um, to they're all linked here. They're all from the New York Times. I will say that they are all like articles about sort of figuring out what was AI and what wasn't. The first one was from June 2024. That one is really looking at pictures and telling us, is this AI or not? Then when they came out in September of 2024 is around the time when they started to come out with some of the video AI products that were more readily available to people. That one is from September. And then the one from December is of 2024 is parts of images within which part of it is AI. So in the chat, I would love it if people could sort of tell me which one they would like to do. And let me get the chat. So would you like to do 1, 2, or 3? And know that there is, I'm going to put the link in again to the presentation for those who are just coming in. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of I'm seeing a few ones, a few threes. Give me a thought process on which one you think we should play. Now, you have access to all of them. I have made them available. I play these all the time with my students and with staff, and I'm telling you, it's a great way to introduce AI to people. We'll go with 3 because I see that's the one that most people have sort of picked. So can you see it, or do I have to reshare my screen? You can see it. Good. So we are going to hit continue. I'm going to try to make it bigger. I will zoom in if we need to, but can you sort of see this? You can see the picture.
We can see the
You're going,
flowers. Yeah.
oh, good. Okay. So part of this picture is AI. Which part do you think of this picture is AI generated? So put your answers into the chat. So I see some background. I see somebody said middle ground. The big red flowers in the front. The background. The flowers. All of it is AI. The horizon. Okay, so most people are saying the background. So I'm going to sort of go with this area here. I'm going to click on it. And you are correct. That was AI. As you see, it was the flowers in the foreground were there, but in the background was a field. So now this one here, partially AI generated. What part do you think is AI? Oh, see, Mark, you're a photographer, so it's sort of not fair. No. So what do we think here is AI generated? Do we think it's the car, the motorcycle, the church, the tree, the road, the vehicles? So some people, I'm seeing sunlight, I'm seeing the church, I'm seeing vehicles, everything above the road. Okay, so the sunlight, the lighting has been guessed twice, so I'm gonna click sort of there, and you are not correct. Then we'll move towards people had vehicles, so we'll click on those. Nope, no, not those. It was the only thing that was generated was the motorcycle. How about this protest? What was AI generated in it? Some people are saying the flag. Okay, so I'm seeing a few flag, the shadow, the crowd. Okay, so the people. Okay. So first people said the flag, and that is not correct. So we're going to move on to the people. And you are correct. That is really a picture of a street. But I mean, they did a good job on that. So what about these monkeys? What do you think is AI generated here? The people in the background? Let's see. You are correct. It was the people in the background. What about this one? How about this entryway? The stairs, the cat. The cat. Okay, so we have 2 for the cat. Nope, the cat is wrong. The stairs is wrong. Let's see, the dog. Up, it was the dog. But that one was a little harder. What about this one? These cocktails. Okay, somebody says the orange one. Yes, it is the orange one. That one was a little too perfect. What about this one? What do we think? Here, the smoke. People think the smoke. You are correct, Mark. The smoke was the one part that wasn't. Everything else is correct. What about this one? The farm. It is true. This is, as somebody said, Gloria, as you say, it is hard. It's really hard. Um, what do we think here? Do we have any guesses? Do we think it's the house, the farm itself, the foreground? I mean, we can try the orange house.
All of
The
it.
entire thing was actually AI. So, but I mean, like, that's hard. That one was really good. Like, that was close
Alyssa,
to,
Alyssa,
yes,
I don't usually do this because this is your presentation, but
yeah,
I think I might be unique in my uh, perspective on this particular part of it because I have a background as both a news photographer
yeah,
and as a digital imaging specialist, which in this case makes me an actual expert in this, at least
you are.
in looking at pictures. And AI generated imagery reached the point of experts not being able to distinguish the difference between the best ones. I can still
Yeah,
see the bad ones, uh,
yeah.
but right now I know that I'm looking at a lot of AI imagery and not knowing it.
Oh, yeah. And that's sort of, Mark, that's why I like doing these New York Times. So the New York Times did a series of three of them so far that look at this. They do this one that's like AI imagery and sort of, backgrounds, foregrounds. They did one where it was just like, is this real or is it AI? And they do this other one that was like video. And why I like doing it is because it is really hard. Like, no matter how many times now I've played them a number of times now, so I sort of know the answers. But like librarians who we're trained at like looking at, closely, every time I play it with librarians, we always mess up. Like, Mark,
Mhm.
you got most of them, but you also are really like you are an expert, but it's so hard to do. And so I think I always start by playing a game like this because I think it's important that we teach our children and we teach others, adults too, that this is hard and it's getting harder to distinguish what is AI, what is an AI. And um, so we need to start to think about these things when we're, doing this because we need to educate people about the world they're living in and what it's going to sort of look like. So know that you have access. These are three shared articles that from my account that I have shared with you guys. So you now have the links in this so that you can go and play these games with your classes or students or just play them yourself. If we had more time, I would do all three because they're a lot of fun. But I want you to sort of have this idea of AI is getting harder to figure out. But we also know that AI is in all different types of things, and it has been there for a long time. So I don't believe we can go back and say like, oh, we don't need like ban AI because you can't ban AI. It's in our chatbots, it's in our smart assistants, it's in our e-payment system. Our search algorithms are all AI. Our media streaming is AI. Our navigation apps in our car are AI. Facial recognition is AI. Text editors, we use like Grammarly. My son was not really taught grammar anymore in school. He was just sort of been like, here's Grammarly. So those things are all there. So we can't just make these blanket ban AI statements because it's in everything we use on a daily basis. And we need to sort of figure out how we use it. Now, this is a video from Google. A lot of these products are sort of out there, but I sort of like to show it as a way to just sort of understand what this world is looking like. I don't know if you'll be able to hear the audio, but you don't fully need to anyway, but we'll try. So we're a Gemini, we're a Google school. I use Google all the time, every day. It's in a lot of the products we're using now. It's a lot of the stuff. I mean, when I'm typing an email now, it's like, help me generate my email. Help me do these things. It was extremely helpful. I was in France for the Olympics this summer, and while in France, it was so helpful to use the translation tool on to help me. I could just stick my smartphone out there and take a picture and it would translate it all for me. It was We're getting into a world where these tools are readily available. We're starting to see them in the Google products and other tools that we're using. We're seeing them in Microsoft too. And so we need to prepare our students and ourselves for this world. Google AI can do stuff like draft, reply, summarize, and prioritize your emails, help you brainstorm and write and rewrite. It can take raw data and generate insights from it, which I am not good at that. Like that is not my area of expertise. So like having something like that available in Sheets makes it helpful. You can do videos now with slides, and all of these things are features that we're getting our students and we're have access to now. But we know that AI can pose problems. It is not without its issues. And I will never speak about AI without talking about some of the issues with it. And we have to do this. So there are really a lot of ethical concerns around AI. This is one area that is important to talk about. And there are some of the ethical concerns around AI and its massive resources use and how its impact on communities, its environmental impact, and sort of some of the demands that AI is seeing. Now, Bloomberg did a whole article about this in June of 2024. And I'm going to sort of show you what it looked like. So we took some screenshots from it for you. So this is Northern Virginia, and it was once known for its horse farms and its civil rights battle sites. So this is the area that was in 2012. This is sort of what the area looked like. But over the past 15 years, many of the community's fields and forests have been cleared away to build data centers that are sort of the backbone of these AI world that we are in. So you see here, 2012, here it is in 2022. Now, those are all data centers there. They've got power plant. They've got some, so areas that are really taxing the resources of these lands. And, it's making it so that they're wanting bigger and better data centers. They have now started, you have seen the call from like ChatGPT and to open up 3 Mile Island. They're looking at rebuying, 3 Mile Island and opening up these nuclear power plants because they are trying to get as much energy as easily as possible. So when we start talking and looking about our energy landscape or the mineral landscape, we're starting to hear a lot about us trying to get as much, minerals as possible from places. A lot of that has to do with us having energy in the resources we need. Now, it's not all bad. I mean, they have an elementary school, they have a shopping center. So some of this area has, developed in a nicer way. But we need to know that these facilities, use one of these facilities can power a like so much 30,000 homes are now being built into some of these data centers. The energy used from that can power those many homes. So we're starting to see that some of these are problematic and stuff we're going to have to deal with. And how are we going to get enough energy to do that? So you're starting to see that stuff like this is becoming an issue and something we need to talk about. And if you look here at sort of the energy consumption in some of these places, from in 2000 to now 2024, there's a huge difference in energy consumption, during that time period. And so we need to really talk about these and start to understand that more. And we also know that it can cause problems in education. There is a lack of personalization that is happening. We know that there is bias and discrimination. These algorithms were trained on data that had bias built into them, had prejudice built into them, had stereotypes built into them. And we see that those do happen. We know that our students and even ourselves are becoming more dependent on technology, and not always in a good way. So we have to sort of address that also. We have to address some of the data privacy and security issues that come along with this, which is the big thing. And we also know that plagiarism can be rampant when used incorrectly, and kids do pass off their work as their own. I mean, they're so smooth, they're not even bright enough. They leave in at times the part at the end that's like, well, is there anything else I can put in for you? My one student was like, Miss M, guess what? I learned that AI doesn't do well with math. And I was like, well, how did you learn that? And she's like, well, I didn't do my physics homework and I was running late. So I put it into Chat GPT and I got all the answers wrong. And I was like, well, I could have told you that. But, like they are, and I was like, well, now you've learned your lesson. But those are things that we know are happening. So one of the things I want to look at, and this is a lesson that my friend Todd did with his students, that he asked the Canva AI generator, the same one that made those lovely pictures of me, to make pictures of what Native Americans look like. And so this is what sort of happened. So the prompt was, he only put in a prompt. The only prompt he put in was Native American. And then this is what it came out looking like when he put that prompt in. So then he went and he said Native American women. And this is what it came out. Then he wrote non-traditional Native American men and women. Well, I'm not seeing people really walk around like that too much. We still got a lot of the stereotype built in there, don't we? When when you do it that way. And then he asked them to do native, oops, I went too far. Sorry, let me go back. Let me go back. I want to go back to the previous slide. Then he had them. Then he went and he said to have Native American children in modern clothing. Don't you see them walking around like that? Aren't all kids walking around like that? No. So we know that there are biases built into these. And you can do this with your students very easily, just asking those questions in Canva and having them pull it up. But it's a good thing to do with them, to have them ask them, what do you notice? What are the problems that you're seeing with this? And how do we fix this? We know, well, we don't exactly know what all the data sets that were used, but we know that a lot of them just scraped the internet to get resources. And we're learning more about what data sets were used as lawsuits are coming out and we're getting more information. And there's been some whistleblowers and other people that have spoken about it. And so we're seeing that if you bring in bad data and bias information, you're gonna get bias back. And so we need to teach our kids about the fact that there is bias built into these systems. And a lesson like this is perfect to do. There is a website called Create Don't Scape. I highly recommend it, especially if you want to go into look a little deeper into the whole idea of copyright, of the problems being associated with AI, the issues we're seeing. This site has the links to some of the lawsuits that are ongoing right now, some of the court cases. It has interviews and articles about some of the copyright issues and also examples of ways to look at AI and to judge AI to see how, if it's, how it is doing well. So I highly recommend using that and with your students and others because it's important. So how can we help students use AI? We have to sort of be the ones that are helping them. It's not going away. The genie is out of the bottle. It is not going back in. So how do we live in a world where there is AI? And how do we teach our students to be good consumers of AI? So this is a video that just sort of came out, and I want you to know about this study, which talks about how AI vaporized long-term learning. So a study showed that like ChatGPT could boost test scores, but it ultimately had some issues. So I'm going to show you, see if I can get there. Come on, is it going to work? The video doesn't want to work for me right now, but if you can see, there is a link at the bottom here in my presentation, and if we have a chance, I'll go back and do it, that talks about basically what happened is that when given AI to begin with and used, it did in the beginning boost test scores. But we realized that they were not really retaining the information because they were basically just asking the chatbot, like, give me the answers or to the answers to the question. And because of that, they weren't retaining the information. But what they found out is when they used AI tools like Khan Academy and others that weren't giving you the answers, and when a chatbot was made in a way that was asking probing questions to help you figure out the answer, or was helping to make it so that you could, if you had gotten an answer wrong, it would go back down, sort of reteach it, so then you could get it right. Then the scores seem to do well. So there are some benefits to AI and there are some problems, but I want you to know that this was just a study that came out that sort of looks at that. Now, normally what I would do with you guys, if we had more time, these are two good articles that I really like to have people read, and you can go and read them, which sort of looks at different views on AI. Should we be teaching it to our students, or should we not? Because we don't believe that those skills are important. And what I like is it's written by the Institute of Higher Education. They're both good articles where they sort of look at what's going on and give two different viewpoints. And I like being able to give people like two different viewpoints to have them look at it and then have discussions. I've done this with students. I've done this with adults where you really can look at these articles and have a real discussion and debate as to where do you fall on that spectrum. Because it's important to, sort of understand that. I also have this really good scope and sequence put out by the School Library System of New York, has put out this AI scope and sequence that is really helpful. And what I like about it is it breaks it down by primary, elementary, middle, and high school. And you can look at ways that you start to talk about these with students. Um, and it has like 4 strands in there. There's a link there to the PDF that has all of the strands in it. It's a really good document for learning how to sort of teach and evaluate AI to students. And I highly recommend looking at it and using it with your students. So here are some ideas and ways to help students use AI effectively. You can introduce AI tools to them, like adopting AI tools to help them to learn about them, translation software, speech recognition, writing tools. Those are all really helpful and can be really good for our students to use. We should be providing them with support like tutorials or tips or step-by-step instructions and sort of monitoring their use, helping them to see which tools that they are good for them to use and how it can be helpful. But we should also encourage that critical thinking, have the debates, have the discussions with the students on should we be using AI for this or how is it best to use this? Have them help them to really start to think critically about it. And then we need to sort of keep up to date so we know what's going on. Like Mark, you were talking about, it's getting harder for you as a professional photographer to be able to figure that out. So we need to sort of stay up to date as much as possible so that we can help our students and others identify what is AI? What is an AI? What are the tools you should look out for? Like, one of the things to look out for when you're looking at an AI image is if there's writing in the background, a lot of times they struggle with writing. So it might be spelled incorrectly or have, misplaced letters. It doesn't do well with math. Sometimes it struggles with fingers or hands and on people. So those are things you need to sort of be keeping up to date so you can help your students to identify it. And this goes back to being a good teacher or a good librarian, these are things like verifying facts in the age of AI is so important. But these are things as librarians, we were already teaching our children anyway. But it's just continuing to remind them about the fact that we have to research who is the author or the organization or that is using this tool or came up with it. Are we using good search techniques? Are we verifying our sources? Are we fact checking websites? Are we pausing and reflecting, understanding that in the age of AI, these might be things that we need to look at? And these are all things that we are already doing. We just need to constantly remind our students that these are important. Ways to use AI in assignments. There are some good ways that you can use it. Now, this is Dr. Christopher Harris. He was the one amazing guy. If you're not following him online, do. He's doing some amazing work, especially he was sort of one of the people who wrote that AI scope and sequence that I showed you about a few slides ago. He is doing a really good idea. So he took a prompt and sort of was like, how can we sort of look at it in AI? So the prompt was like, identify 4 possible topics for a high school research paper on a controversial issue. I'm interested in debating over gun control. Planning, like I'm writing my paper. How, what might be an outline for a 10-page paper look like? Drafting, to help me get started on my paper, write the first 2 or 3 sentences. Revising, helped me revise this section from my paper, and make it more neutral and suggest better ways of writing it. And proofing, like proofing for me has been a godsend because I struggle with spelling. I've always struggled with spelling and grammar And so for me, being able to proof something has made my life so much easier, and I use it constantly in the AI to help me. So now those are ways that you can use AI to sort of help you. And they're not bad ways. But they're ways that we can use them. And here's some other ways for personalizing learning. Students, what the studies have found and what we are seeing is that when students are assigned work based on their skill level and questions get harder as they master the work, that is a way that AI has been really helpful. We as teachers can't always be there to do that for our students. We can't differentiate learning as much as we would like. And there are AI tools like Khan Academy, like others that can do some of this for us and help us to do that. So use it for that. Adaptive technology, you can monitor and alert children if they're struggling with a concept. We might understand that, but with some of these technologies out there, AI technologies, they can really pinpoint where the kid is struggling and help us to make sure we are better. Why are you not using AI to help you when you are grading something, especially if it's a multiple choice test? I don't understand. It's like the Scantron of our generation. You should be using Google Forms or one of those to help you to do it. Makes it easier. I'm not a fan of using it for open-ended questions, but for some of the things, AI can help you with grading. And for assistive technology, it can really be so helpful. Something like Diffit, where you can take text and put it in for students and switch it to whatever grade level you need it to be. You can easily translate things into multiple languages. There are no excuses anymore, in my opinion, as to meeting students where they are, especially families or ELL learners that need stuff in different languages. We have the tools are out there that can easily do that for you. And you can have there is technology out there that will read passages for the visually impaired students that will help them speak and do things that we couldn't do. And those are some ways that AI is really doing some incredible work in that area. So here's some uses for libraries. I love using it for reading advisory, helping me to, my students will come to me and be like, what's another book that would be similar? I would always struggle with that a little, but now I can have AI to help me to do that. I'm also the person who's like, oh, this book is so good, but yet I never can describe it in a way to students like I want. So AI does a great job writing up summaries, short, quick summaries that you can use to help students to explain books. It can provide reference assistance and help with research. There's some really good stuff coming out. Storm by Stanford is taking ideas and making them into Wikipedia-like articles that you can then share with students on topics, especially to get them started on learning a new topic or to look at different things. There's some really good stuff coming out that can help them in that way. Image generators, need a quick image, AI can do it for you. And lesson plans, I am telling you, if you're not using Magic School or ChatGPT or one of those to write those stupid lesson plans that we are forced to write, I'm lucky as a school librarian, I don't have to do that. But if you are forced to write lesson plans, you should be using one of these tools, because not only can they write the lesson plans for you, but they actually do give you good ideas and look at ways to do things in a way that I might not always think about. So use them. Use one of these tools to help you. It is work smarter, not harder. And this is one way, lesson planning, that can really do that for you. So, as Chris was saying, and we looked at that slide a few one's back for ideation, planning, drafting, revisiting, and proofing, and some of the ways that you can do this. He's saying you are still in control of your classroom and you have the ability to tell the kids what you are allowed to use AI with and what you're not. So for ideation and proofing, yeah, on the whole, allow them to use AI for, to help you with that. But if you're going to do planning and revising, then you might want to allow AI with, AI link and citations, but they're going to have to give you that. And for drafting, no, you might not want them to do that. And you can say no to that. But those are some ways that know that you still can use AI, but you can also have some control over it. And that is important. So this is a quote that I sort of like. In the end, writing a prompt for the machine, being able to exactly and clearly communicate one's desire for the text, the image, or code to be produced is itself a new way to teach self-expression. It is important, and I sometimes struggle with it, but writing good prompts and being able to fully and clearly explain what you want is important for us to sort of start to teach our children to do. And I think that is something that is going to be a new way of us to look at ways that we are teaching, is to get our students to learn how to prompt these machines to do it correctly. So we do not have a lot of time, but I don't ever want to leave you without things to have. So what I have provided for you is a link to a Wakelet, and I have the Wakelet here. I will also put the link into the chat in a minute for you that has hands-on learning. It has a lot of articles you can look at, a lot of different AI tools you can play around with. It has all those links to the resources that I have provided with you today. So you're going to leave with a big toolbox of stuff that you can use and play around with to see what's going to work for you. I'm going to put the link to the Wakelet here. So this is sort of what the Wakelet looks like. I have some readings for you. I have AI tools that are good. Magic School is a really good tool. They have some really good stuff for teachers and educators there. We have some lessons and frameworks that you can use. I have a link to my presentation in here too. That is all stuff that you have and you will have access to. I put the link in the chat box too for you, but know that is stuff that is here for you. And go through it. And I'm telling you, you're going to find stuff that you're going to like. And I am going to leave you. We have about 5 to 10 minutes left. I'm going to leave you with some questions, comments, what you have me here. Ask me whatever you want. And I am sort of here to help you for the remainder of this time. Are there any questions? You can put it in the chat or you can just raise your hand or jump right in.
I have a question, Miss Elissa,
Yes.
and I have been really reflecting on this, and this is really kind of for the whole group. To your, you know, to your speaking to your slide that talks about the ethical kind of
Right.
environmental sustainability issues that arise as a result of using AI. Do you think
Yes.
that there is messaging that needs to go out with that in terms of, what is responsible use, what is irresponsible use?
I think it's very hard right now. I think we just need to be careful and think about it when we're looking at things, when we're looking at some of the policies that are being made in the government now and in the future, you're going to start to see some of these decisions being made around energy production and all of that, that I think are, even though they might not always say it to you, I think a lot of it has to do with getting us AI ready and some of the environmental issues that might go along with it. I think having conversations with our students about some of the problems with AI is important. Was this the QR code that people wanted, or was there another one? Trying to figure out what the QR code was that people wanted. Was it this one, which is my Substack? So, let me see here. I'm going to go back. I saw somebody ask for that.
I'm guessing it was probably the resources one.
Okay, the resources one.
That's just a guess.
So
Yes, that resource.
Okay. So let me go to it. Let me find which one that was. Okay, so this is the resources, and that's the Wakelet. I also put the Wakelet link into the chat for people too. So know that that is there for you also. And you have that there. But I will leave that up for you for a second. So. Is there any other questions you may have? Trying to look in the chat.
Oh, yes, if I may. Is there a certain age as an elementary educator? Is it too young to start them like in kinder? Because I'm one of the big proponents and advocates for starting like computer science and coding. It's like a second language. Should AI be introduced to little ones, or is it like it should be a little bit better older, or just like, because they're growing up with this tech?
No, I think you should. I think the most interesting, I think it is so important that you do get them started young. I like the scope and sequence done by the school librarians, because they do a good job sort of looking at it from like preschool and elementary school and what they should know. ISTE also has, in that Wakelet, ISTE also has some great lesson plans in the lesson plan area for elementary school students related to AI, and they have developed some really good tools and resources and lesson plans to get kids started young. I mean, the kids know, I mean, it's so out there that that really there's some good literacy stuff to get them started young on this. Now, am I going to say like put them on Chat GPT? No, but getting them started on like the idea of what's an algorithm, what is, how this stuff works, and some of the ethical issues around it. Yeah, we can start having those conversations, and should, with the kids on young, really young. And I will say I have done the presentations, like the is it AI or is it not AI, that presentation with young kids too, and they sort of really love it. Oh yeah, see? Oh, thank you, Amy. I'm gonna take that. I'm linking to that. I just clicked on the site there to add it to my resources. I'm gonna throw that into the
Elissa,
Wakelet
Amy,
too.
and Vicky were some of our facilitators in a previous meeting, and they have a lot of great resources for littles.
Perfect. So I'm totally putting that into the Wakelet moving forward, so that you can use some of these with littles, because I think it is so important that we do talk about these things with our kids and with them, with them as young as possible. I mean, I speak a lot with my kids about the ethics related to AI. I usually spend a lot of time talking to them about the idea of the data sets in AI and how it's garbage in and garbage out. And I like to use an example of, has anyone heard of the example of the using glue on pizza?
No, tell us.
Mark has. But so basically, what happened is that, and I think it was Gemini.
They didn't call it
What
that then.
was it different name then?
It was Google, but I think it was
It
pre-Gemini.
was Google, but it was a different name at the time. But when they first came out with their AI software, somebody put in a thing with like, what do I do if the cheese falls off my pizza? Well, the response from AI was, well, put glue on it. And the person's like, glue on it? And then they're like, well, if you're not going to use glue, then use a rock. And they're like, how did they get these answers? So there is this amazing podcast called Search Engine, and they did a whole podcast on trying to figure out how did they get this answer? How did AI was convinced that this was the correct answer? And basically what they found out, and it was like they were interviewing a woman who, really did in-depth article about this, is Reddit, a Reddit subthread somewhere that AI scraped because, they scraped Reddit when they were doing it. Somebody was joking around and said, put glue on your pizza. And AI not realizing it, they just took it as real because they don't understand and fully get it.
They've been finishing a meeting.
So they took it and they did that. And so AI is bad at times and is going to give wrong information and not always give the correct stuff. But when you can give them an example like that and show them like, yeah, there's biases and there's problems built in, and AI doesn't understand always. And I mean, there's others example of like, it giving you recipes for things that would like kill you, combinations of stuff that would kill people if they really did it, because they don't understand fully everything. So I spend a lot, I do talk to my kids a lot about those type of things because I think it's important that they understand it. And oh yes, it was Bard. It was called Bard back then, not Gemini. But I all of those things are so important. And so one tool that I really like using with my students, and my students are more high school students, I like using Notebook LM, which is in this presentation, but I didn't really, because we were, running short on time, spend a lot of time talking about it. But what I like about it is with Notebook LM, you can build your own data set and have that. And so to me, I think that's better because you're building your data set where then you can then go and ask it questions, and it reduces the likelihood of getting some of those hallucinations and other problems that we're seeing. But there's a lot of great tools out there. And if there are any questions, I don't want to keep you guys past 8 o'clock, but I am here. You know how to get me. My contact information is on the slides, and please go ahead and, contact me. I'm here to help you guys.
Miss Elissa, do you mind if I show a couple of last slides before
Go
people
right
go?
ahead.
Thank you.
Go right ahead.
Okay. So super quickly, I just wanted to remind everyone that we are going to be having our last AI COP meeting on April the 22nd. We're actually in discussions right now with people that we would like to be the facilitator. So we will definitely give you more information as it becomes available as to who our speakers will be. And last but not least, if you do have a minute, we would love to get your feedback. So that's sccoe.to/AI feedback, just to know what your thoughts are and to let us know what we can do to meet your needs as educators and to improve our community of practice.
Can you put the link in the chat?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And just want to send a huge shout out to Miss Elissa, who said it was 8 o'clock because she is in New Jersey. And
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
no,
forgetting.
so don't freak out, y'all. It's 5 o'clock still here.
It's sorry. It's still 5 o'clock here.
Yes, but thank you so much, Elissa, for being with us. Can't thank you enough for all the great resources.
Welcome. I put into the chat my newsletter. It is free newsletter. You can sign in if you want to get the emails so that you can get it delivered to your inbox, but you don't even have to. You can just go and look. I try to write one every week on a different topic. And know that, you know, that is available for you guys too. And, you know, I am always around to help.
Yay. Thank you so much,
Thank
everyone.
you.
And we look forward to seeing you in April and hope you have a lovely March. Bye.
Thank you, guys.